Yeah.
Classic.
Audio's on, cameras are rolling. Yeah, we're all good. So, welcome, Daryll.
Thank you.
And welcome, Kate Hammer.
Welcome, Daryll, and hey. Thank you so much for having me here.
I'm really sorry I missed the photo shoot on Sunday. That looked like a lot of fun.
Have you seen
yeah.
Carnage?
No, not at all.
Oh yeah, the scars.
I heard about that. It was worth it. The photo's really good.
That's good. That's good. It was so much fun. I love how we just kind of just did a lap of a block.
Yeah, it was so easy. We had no plan leaving the place, and then just like did a loop around your flat, and it was.
There's so much good stuff there. Though I did feel a little bit judged when I asked if I could throw a brick against a wall. And
Is
you
that
were
quite
like,
therapeutic for you?
well, I was like, that would be cool, right? And they're just like,
It was your pal that more said no, right? He's like, somebody owns that building.
Oh, did he say
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
What a narc.
It didn't look it wasn't like you put it through a window.
No, but I
Exactly.
also was expecting more of like a
Yeah.
cathartic explosion.
Yeah.
Instead, there was a chance it just kind of went back and hit me in the head. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd have been.
That would have been the shot.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say, the grass throwing,
yes.
the climbing the door frame which led to your cut elbow, and the brick throwing are not in this. They are.
Right.
I'll maybe like send them to you or use them for a reel or something.
Please.
But I had to get Struan's help in culling because we were down. I think I told you at the time I was like 130 and I was down to
How
like
many?
90.
How many did you take?
Well, because I went on fast shutter when we had
Right.
the bubbles and everything, we were up at like 400 or 500. So it's now
Yeah.
30 or something.
It's quite a process, like getting down, because I mean, within that there's like selections of shots. But when I spoke to Daryll on the phone, but I asked him like, 'cause we've never spoken about this before. Like, how long do you take to edit your photos for this? It's like 3 to 4 hours, and I was like, geez, I do mine for an hour. But as I said previously, Daryll is the best photographer, and I think
You're in the Rolling Stone.
the effort you put in like really shows. So kudos to you for the effort and the time.
So why isn't he in Rolling Stone?
Exactly.
Because Amelia Bayer happened to use my
Baylor.
photo.
You don't even get her name right and you're in Rolling Stone.
Baylor.
Baylor.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Amelia.
Oh!
And they happened to pick that story up, use that
Yes.
image because that was the image she was using.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay,
It's not because
okay.
it's a great image; it's because Amelia's doing great.
Yes.
That's the reality there. But yeah, creativity.
We're all just trying to hook our... I think I've messed this up. We're all just trying...
Can you not get it open?
Also, I just want to point out, I tried to paint my nails on the train. Don't fucking do that. Because anyway, I ended up scratching off 5 of them because when you're putting on a backpack, it all comes off. You guys will know, right?
All the time.
It's crazy. But yeah, oh no, I did it right.
You got it.
Okay.
Applause. We'll cut that so it's
We can tighten that up
sharper.
and edit.
What did you make of the train to air?
So fast.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was so, I mean, I was hoping to see more of the, like, when you look at it on the map, you're like, I'm going to be right on the coast
Yeah,
for
yeah.
half of it. And you're not.
No.
So that was disappointing. But, the other thing was, I went for the plug, but they put in things to block big plugs. And I was like, and it said laptops and phones only. And I was like, this is a laptop plug. But it wouldn't go in.
Poor Mark for Scorpio.
I think you guys are like, hey, want some interesting stuff? I'm like, no, but I do have some gripes.
Just pull apart
plugs.
Scorpio.
Yeah. Usually I love the trains. Like, look, the strikes are good. I support them, but like, you know, it's annoying when it affects you. But ultimately, the fact that you can get around the whole of the UK so easily with not having a car. Like, I'm just in Canada, it was impossible not to have a vehicle of your own. So
Right.
I'm just like, I feel like I'm, you know, I'll just hop on a train to Ayr and then you just get carried straight there. It's amazing.
Do you have to do that voice?
Yeah, transatlantic is the only way. Yeah.
That'd be quite a good advert voice, actually. Like, you could get voiceover work, I'm sure.
I mean, it's less if it's like, just hop on a train to Paisley, you know? People will think Paisley's nice.
Yeah.
They'll sue me.
Yeah, it's not a destination.
So not to alienate our Paisley listeners, moving back to Canada, you're sitting next to some of Paul Matt's amazing artwork.
You know what?
No, this is it, sorry.
Oh,
That's Struan drawing Paul.
Mm-hmm.
That's Paul drawing me and him.
Wow.
So I look like a potato with a brick shirt.
Yeah, you look quite angry.
It does look angry.
I was.
What about? Was it about the plugs on the train?
It was when I saw how he was drawing me. The shirt.
And I like how Paul's also put your mic placement completely wrong, just to show you have no idea what you're doing.
Just sitting there. Where is it? Up here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so up your head.
Also sitting there with
Sure.
blank pages in front of you.
Yeah, no question. Oh, those might have been portraits, to be fair.
Yeah, that was us drawing the thing.
Yeah.
Nope. I think you're wrong.
It's just like,
Art is in the eye of the beholder,
That's true.
and so that's how I've subjectively. You're wrong.
It's a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of Paul Matt, he did put a question in for you.
Okay.
Question/compliment. How do you deal with hecklers? You seem like you have the confidence, or you seem like you have a lot of confidence and you would crush them.
Crush them is thank you. I think I've never had to deal with what I would believe to be as a heckler in terms of someone being like, "You're terrible, get off the stage." You know, I've never really seen that either, to be.
what counts as a heckler then?
This is it. I think everyone has a different
Yeah.
definition. It's been a long month. Different definition of what a heckler is. And so a lot of the times after a show, people will be like, "Well, you dealt with that guy really well." And I was like, "Oh, that
That wasn't a
yeah." Because for me, I think this is why we're kind of talking about competitions outside. And I find competitions really difficult for what I want to do. A, being 5 minutes, and then B, most of my comedy is interacting with the audience and like getting their suggestions to be part of my set, to be a callback. And that's why I love hosting so much, because you're building a comedy show that can only exist in that room that night, and that's it. Those jokes are only funny to those people. You're kind of making a connection with everyone. You're making you feel like a community. And like, I just think that's the most exciting. That's where comedy is at its height, right? And I think audience members can also tell if I'm not my energy on stage, if I'm doing like, here's my exact word written set, I don't buy it. And I think the audience can tell. Like whenever I've tried to do cleaner sets, it's not gone as well.
Okay.
Because I think I'm not excited about it. And
Yeah.
maybe with my ADHD, like I need an element of surprise to be like, ooh, and then like feeding off of the vibe of the room.
Mhm.
And to kind of meet them where they're at and then bring them where I want to go. So I really welcome people interacting with me. But you also have to know when to shut it down.
Mhm.
And I think for me, the answer is never, for me and what I've interacted with so far, the answer is never being like, "Hey, fuck you," or "shut the fuck up," or
Mhm.
"get out," or it just creates a weird tone and everyone's
There's a
uncomfortable.
disconnect all of a sudden.
Yeah, and you're kind of not sure, is the audience on your side, or they just want to laugh. And so if there's a huge big heckler, I'm sure, like again, I don't really know how I would deal with that. I would hope that the organizer of the show would be able to deal with them while I continue to do.
Yeah.
But the other night I was at a show where I was doing a little conversation, interacting with the front row, but then they kept kind of pitching in. And I think all I went is like, to the other comedians, I went, like, guys, just for the rest of the performers, it seems like fun to talk to these guys, but it's a mistake, you know? And then they laugh, everyone laughs, okay, and then I'm just going to move on. And if maybe I think they maybe tried to say one more thing, and I just ignored it and kept going, and then it was fine. And everyone's still having a good time.
Yeah.
Or at my friend's show, a similar thing, there was one guy who's just like really, really vocal and kind of pitching in. And I just think it's fun to play with that dynamic and work with that, instead of trying to be like, this is my time, this is my hour. And because you're literally inviting people to your show where it's real humans. Like, this isn't a Netflix special. And if you're demanding that they just sit there and listen and laugh, like, you can't ask that. It's live. There is an interaction. There is a connection between you
That's the
and
point of
audience.
live performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think like that comes with it, and people want to be heard. and so you can draw a line, but like do it with everyone in mind. I think, because I see people get angry, comedians get angry at the audience, and I'm just like, oh, I feel like, it puts that person's now not having a good night.
No.
And like, I think if you bring them in on it, then everyone can leave happy. Yeah.
Is that why on some nights jokes will work with an audience and then other jokes won't resonate as well? Like, and then you've got, I suppose, the difference in audience sizes, because some rooms are smaller and jokes work better with an audience of 20 people, and then that doesn't necessarily transcribe over to something where you've got 200 people.
Yeah.
Is that something you come up against?
Oh, for sure. I remember I read Sarah Millican's autobiography, and there's a lot of great points in it. But one thing she was like, if a joke doesn't work 100% of the time, ditch it. Like, it needs to work every time. And I'm like, oh, I don't think you've played too many rooms of 10 people lately, Sarah. Like, it's just, I think a joke 100% of the time is really, everyone has those jokes, but there's some that work 90%. And you're like, I think it's still worth the risk. I think part of it, starting out, you don't have your audience in the room because you're figuring that out. The audience is figuring out who they want to see.
Yeah.
It immediately gets easier when people are coming to see you. They maybe know your style of comedy, what you're going to talk about. They're ready to laugh.
Yeah.
So it's this kind of double-edged thing of like, you have to be yourself on stage to draw in an audience that you want so that your jokes will land. Like, it's this kind of chicken egg self-fulfilling prophecy thing.
Did she mean like once you've got a joke worked out, if it doesn't work 100% of the time?
Yeah.
Surely, like, if you try and like workshop something and it's like, nope, got nothing.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? It wasn't a conversation. It wasn't a book. But I was like, I think I was more upset because I was like, excuse me, if I take all of my 95% jokes out of my set, I'm left with one joke,
Well,
Yeah.
one thing I was going to ask, but you kind of answered that, was improv hecklers versus stand-up hecklers. But it sounds like your set, I haven't seen you, so apologies, I'm not going to pretend I've been to see a set. But it sounds like your stand-up is improvisational. And I know we spoke about like middle ditch and Schwartz and stuff. Is it kind of similar to that?
I mean, it's so funny coming from Canada where there's a lot of improv. And here where there's not as much. Like, have either of you done improv?
No.
And I've spoken to people who also be like, oh, I want to do a one-man improv show. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, I think that's not what you, like, I think the word here maybe means something slightly different. But yeah, improv to me is like always, there's so many different types of improv, but it's always like more than one person unless you're really brave and want to do character scenes alone. But yeah, it's more sketch. It feels like more of a sketchy thing. And then improvised stand-up is that. It's you are not playing a character unless you are a character in your stand-up kind of thing. And that's where the lines blur big time. But yeah, for me, I'm myself. For sure, like an exaggerated sense of self because you're on a stage and you're, looking for the game and looking for punchlines. But it's me being honest and having conversations rather than improv. And I don't think I've ever had a heckler at improv either because a very specific set of nerds come to improv. Okay. They're not going to be like, woo. They might be like, that's not factually accurate, more like that. So yeah, I think but my foundation improv absolutely paved the way for me to have the confidence on stage to know that I can get myself out of anything. Why people are so afraid of doing crowd work and stand up is because what if it's not funny? What if I get into this hole and it's not funny? I'm like, you got to trust that you will be able to find a way out. And most of the time it's as little as just looking at the rest of the audience. If that person says something weird or awkward, you just go, and then everyone's like,
as long as you keep the audience on your side, they're your
Yes.
team, then you've isolated that one person.
yes.
Yeah, that's a
And just be honest. If you're feeling weird, be like, all the time, well, not all the time, makes me sound like a bad host. All the time would be ooh, the vibe in here is a bit weird, Acknowledge at shows. I think I was hosting a show where Paul Black was headlining. It was a 10:30 p.m. show, Paul Black headlining. I'm like, this is going to be a piece of cake. That like everyone's ready. They're so excited to see him. And it was just such a weird vibe of like, I think people were maybe a little too drunk. It was a little, late at night and everyone was tired. And so I just had to go out there and break it and be like, why are you guys so fucking weird? And and then, then people start laughing, and then I can feed into that and like kind of, I challenge. Sometimes I'll be like, by the end of this bit, you're going to be fucking laughing, all right? And like, again, getting, the audience on your side. But don't be afraid. I think that's the biggest thing for me is like, be honest and acknowledge it. Be like, guys, I'm feeling real weird. Or you'll see some amazing, like Scott Agnew the other night, had the 5 minutes of pure laughter and then told a story and it kind of like ended on like a heartfelt note and then he was just like, I had you with that other stuff and this one I lost you, so I'm gonna try and win you back. So it's like, and then the audience is laughing again and they're like, yes, okay, I'm on your side again.
Just addressing it.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's a lot of utility in being cognizant, being in the moment enough, but being aware enough of the moment. Because I'd imagine for people who are just starting out or haven't got a lot of stand-up experience, just being on stage and being that terrified must be all-consuming. So to be able to work with the audience and keep a handle on where the mood's going, how people are feeling, and then use that to your advantage must be... what's your experience level like in terms of how long you've been part of... how long you've been doing comedy?
That's a great question. It's hard because I didn't do anything during the pandemic.
Right.
At all. So.
And were you improv before comedy?
Yeah. So this is I started comedy in Montreal, maybe like 2017. Okay. Started taking classes. Worked my way up. Then started running my own improv shows and being a part of different troupes. And my favorites are Mondo, which is story-based improv. And I think that's like what feeds into all my comedy is like I love storytelling and like building that connection with an audience. And
so
yeah,
can you break that down a bit? Like what, like you say, improv's not like that big a thing over here, so I don't really know the ins and outs of it. And you've gone to classes and you're saying like storytelling improv, like what would that be?
Yeah, so it's called Armando and it's named after a man named Armando. And he would just like it was just a way of doing improv where you get a person on stage and you give them a prompt from the audience. Or the way for my show, I had people come prepared with 2 stories that they were going to tell. But so as a prompt from the audience, be like, camp. And they'd be like, oh, this one time at camp, and they would tell like a story for 5, maybe 10 minutes maximum. And then the improvisers, like a troupe, come out. And they're like, okay, get out of the way, storyteller. And then they do a set however long, and it's scene-based. So short scenes, they can call back to each other, they can call back to the story, it's quite like rule-free. But basically what you're doing is you're learning to look at that story, and this is like what helps me today, from so many different angles. So you never replay, you never improvise the story. You go, what if that took place somewhere else? Or if this is true, what else is true in that world? Or if this is that character, maybe it's a story about someone being too shy to stand up for themselves. So I'd take that character, I'd escalate it. So they're too shy to, break up with their girlfriend. So they get married. And then they're too shy to say no to kids. So they have, you can just keep growing this world. Or if it's a situation, what is another angle in that situation? So if it's a breakup at a restaurant, I would do the scene as the waiters in the restaurant being like, oh my God, have you seen table 4? So on stage, you're constantly watching the scene take place. You're thinking about what else can I add to this scene if it's necessary. You're thinking about what can I do next. And you're thinking about like you're in the present in so many different ways and in the future and thinking about that story in the past. Mm-hmm. You're directing yourself. You're thinking, oh, this scene's going on for too long. How can I do a callback to like be a punchline and then swipe the scene? So all of that, I think, is what helps me do crowd work because I'm in the conversation, I'm thinking about what in the past can I use as a callback, like an easy button that's not a joke. I'm lazy, but it'll make people laugh. And then I can move on to the next comedian. Or where can I take this conversation? And you have to kind of be in multiple mindsets at once to then feel comfortable being like making connections with other people in the audience. And yeah.
That sounds like it might be quite good training just for life.
Yeah.
Because it's like so like everything's scenario based.
Yeah.
And to be able to step back from it and look at it from different perspectives and angles must be. Did you find that? Do you find that that translates, or was it like? Do you
I
notice a
don't
difference
know.
when you started that, or you've been doing it for so long now?
I'm
It's
a
just
real emotional person anyway, so I think it was kind of one of those things where I always knew I wanted to do improv, but when I was living on a goat farm, not possible. I was living in Toronto, but I was a tour guide, so I was away, so not possible. It was only when I moved to Montreal that I could start doing it. And I think also, like, with my ADHD, it just fed so easily into, like, my brain made sense of, like, I'm going to think at 5 things at once. And it's one of those scenarios where you're like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. So, but a lot of people came to improv not wanting to perform, but to help with public speaking or, confidence or, maybe, I'm not sure. That'd be an interesting study to be like, could a serial killer do improv or would they learn to feel, you know?
it's a curative.
You went back in time to see baby Hitler teach him improv.
Yeah.
That's the new scenario.
Yes, and ja und.
That deserved a clap. So, do you teach improv? Is that through
I
your
did
LinkedIn?
in Montreal. I did some workshops. I did also. There's Glasgow Improv Theatre, GIT. I'm supposed to send them a list of workshops that I would like to run with them. Not done that yet because there's other priorities right now. But yeah, I hope to work with them because I miss it and I can feel my brain like getting rusty.
Yeah.
Because I've been focusing on stand-up since I've been performing in the UK. And I've been performing here for, I think, a year and a half now. And that was, after 2 years of doing, or 2.5 years, really, because Glasgow was kept in extra lockdown because we were bad boys. And then 2.5 years of lockdown, even more in Canada. And then I was doing stand-up for maybe 2 years in Montreal, but not consistent. And that's where the trouble, sorry, to wrap back to your earlier question of how long I've been doing it, when people say how long you've been doing it, I'm like, I guess I could say 5 years, but also someone back in Montreal, I was talking to them, and they were like, yeah, I've been doing it for 2 years. I've done over 300 gigs. And I was like, I've maybe done 20, like in the same amount of time. So I'm like, years is actually not a great.
It's not a good,
Because I was doing it maybe once a month maximum, less. It was just whenever someone offered me a show. I was such a late, it was just like, great. And because there wasn't a lot of women doing comedy, maybe every other month I'd do a show. So it wasn't a lot. And then when I was like, you know what? I really want to do more stand-up. The pandemic started. So I think it was a personal attack against me, actually.
I just try to hold you back.
Yeah.
So
They were like, you're too funny. The world can't handle it yet.
They need a pandemic to get into this.
I'm sorry, guys.
for anyone that doesn't know, Kate Hammer, comedian, actor, director, podcaster. You do improv, sketch. You teach sketch.
Yeah, used to. I wouldn't say
Used to?
now, but
Okay.
yeah.
Has taught. And you were part of 48-hour Film Festival, right? So
Yes.
hopefully cover some of these in the pod. One thing I was going to ask, like you said, the improv helping in life. Do you get a chance to use your improv in acting? Because I know the first time I wanted to try improv, first time I heard about it was an interview with Larry David. That was how he started.
Mm-hmm.
And then he uses it in like Curb. No one has a script.
Yeah.
You just kind of, you get a rough idea of what's happening and stuff. But
Yeah.
do you get to use that like in your acting, or is it all?
For sure. I mean, less because usually if you're working with someone else, they also have to be comfortable doing that. And I think there's no one in particular, but it's like I think there can be a thing where stand-ups think they know, like they can improvise, but like true improv, which is like you're never trying to make a joke. That is never the goal of scene. Get rid of that.
Right.
Stop it, because that you're being a greedy scene partner if you're doing that. I feel like that's you. No, I can't. Just get a vibe, man. But as
His
soon
name's
as
Mischief, Billy Kirkwood.
this is it. It's like as soon as someone makes a joke, you're stealing. You're not giving to me. You're getting the laughter for
So
yourself.
it's very mutual. You're trying to keep setting the next person up, and
It's not even that, because
No, no.
trust that the funny will come. It will come. But it's like, and so I've improvised with stand-ups before, and it's been really draining because I'm like, I am just setting you up to knock it. And I will do that because I know, I'm giving, but it's like when it's one way, it can feel really draining. But a really good improv scene is, two people just finding something and then, but like hitting it. It's such a high because you, without speaking about it, just by looking at someone, you're like, we're framing this dishwashing scene as if we're doing heart surgery. Oh my God, we're so clever. And and you're never saying jokes, but you're helping each other get to that next beat that will probably cause laughter. But we're never after the laughter. We're after like the escalation, and that's kind of the goal of the scene.
What's more rewarding, like getting in that zone with an improv partner and building this story, knowing you're in it, or like being in the zone and stand up?
That was my exact question.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like you guys are in the zone.
We're zoning. We're doing heart surgery.
I don't know. I think that's an impossible question. Both are amazing.
So he got a great question and I get, right. Okay. Struan, I guess you can ask the next one.
Both are amazing, but I think there's something about improv that, because you're doing it together, and I guess for me, the reason I perform is to make a connection. I'm just after connection and validation and all that jazz, and I don't necessarily want to be the only one on the stage in the zone. I love to share the zone, and I do think I get more of a high off of that, and that's why I would love to find someone to work and do a kind of like mixture, stand-up, sketchy, improvised, but having someone feel comfortable on stage to really go off with you, and even if you go off script, know that they're there, because also you're not on stage alone being like, oh my God, please laugh, please laugh, please laugh. Like, I'm trying not to let you show how much I need this, but you gotta laugh. Versus having a scene partner where you're just trying to make each other laugh. And if you're having a good time, the audience will inevitably have a good time, because it's impossible not to watch people having a good time and not feel some of that joy. So yeah. Improv. Actually, there is an answer. I take it back. Improv. Great question.
Thanks. Sorry.
Well, there we go. See, when you're performing, be it improv or stand-up, do you enjoy it in the moment? I mean, it sounds like you do definitely through the improv stuff, because you start getting that back and forth with whoever you're working with, and that sounds like it's a lot of fun for you. What about stand-up? Do you enjoy it in the moment, or do you get offset and think, Christ, yeah, I did really well there? And can you feel that emotion at the time, or is the concentration overtakes everything else?
For me, I gotta be having a good time, and I figured that out about myself. Because again, for my energy on stage and where I'm like, honestly, where I'm being most honest is like, if I'm feeling a spark of finding something new and bringing something to the table. So yeah, it doesn't always happen that you have a good time and maybe you still have a good set, but you walk off going like, okay, yeah, like another set done, but that sucks. Oh my God, why do you want to be doing that? So I try and that's why I leave room to improvise, because if I try and find ways to make myself surprised and I feel like there's that, indescribable way of just like a little bit of a fire under your ass of like, oh, there's something new here, or I could have an even better joke, or because this person, like I have my 5 minute is I kind of ask for a song at the beginning under the guise of something else, and then at the end it's my callback kind of button at the end, and so every set it's a different song, and so like that's such a fun energy to play with. Is like, sometimes people know the song, I have to ask for lyrics. One time, the entire room started singing the whole, I think it was like John Denver, take me home, da, 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 West Virginia, whatever. Yeah. And like everyone got in, and then like at a certain point, I was like, I have to stop this because I need to do the rest of my set. So then like you find a new beat of like, oh my God, this feels like a cult and you're going to kill me or something. But funny. And then, then they stop and they laugh, so it's like, leaving room for me to find something new or to address the audience or to get to know and kind of, to be honest, ease the audience into my energy. Because with this accent and this energy, people may be scared at the top. It's not easy to transfer from another comic to me, to be honest, or to come, not to come after me in terms of like, oh my God, I'm so good. But I am aware, like, if you're a dry comedian and then you're coming after, like,
Yeah.
high energy, I'm jumping around the stage, I'm going into the audience. You're like, anyway, that's a whole different tangent of, like, booking order. But, yeah, I like to leave room for my own surprise, but also to ease the audience into myself. You gotta stop me when I go on tangents, man. I answered like 5 questions there.
No, that's good.
Who are like your comedy or improv like heroes or inspirations then?
I feel I need to come up with a better answer for this because I've been asked it so many times now, and every time I'm like, "Oh, great question."
I'm getting rinsed from my questions.
I know it's good, but I grew up watching comedy on the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Like they would have Just for Laughs sets.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Hotz was one of my favorites because he had such a weird, dry sense of energy, and he would do everything like this and like on the verge of tears the entire time. He was so different to every other comedian that you'd see, and like, you know, probably a joke a minute, such a slow pace, but like you were with him because he was so engaging. He has this joke about needing to get laser eye surgery, and he's like, well, what happens when I do that surgery? And like that's his cadence as he goes high every time. And anyway, and then they say they have to shine a bunch of bright lights because you've been on stage for too long doing comedy where you're staring into bright lights and you're just like, it's not even, see, like the joke isn't that good, but the way he delivers it, like
Right.
tears, crying. People are losing 15 pounds. Their lives are changed, you know? But obviously, like being here, you have, you know, that energy and improv of Billy Connolly, like, God, if, you know, you want some of that magic. But also, I think everyone on the Scottish circuit right now is so good and, like, just head and shoulders the best, like, comedy talent. So even just going to any show these days. And there's something about the Scottish, to me, like, Scottish people, everyone, the baseline of funny in Scotland is just a couple steps higher than everyone else. Like, there's just more willing for that, like, crack or to have, you know, the fun. And so then comedians have to, like, be so much, just the rolling laughter when you go into, like, the basement of a pub and it's just some Scottish comedian, you're like, something about you is just bringing, like, this unnameable energy into the room, and I want to learn how to do that.
What do you think you've learned about comedy since moving to Scotland and interacting with Scottish comics?
Yeah, I think having an accent is better.
You think having the Canadian accent's better?
No.
Or the Scottish accent? Do you think it's just an acceptance thing? Like you're one of us?
I try and play with it. Like, my biggest thing I try and get from people is to be like, how do I come off to you? Like, how do you see me? When you hear my accent, what do you hear? Because if I try and acknowledge that off the top, then I find people can kind of go, oh, okay, so she's not just like some New York, you know, person. But at the same time, there's just like, and maybe it's just from my perspective, but for me, listening to this, just, you have so much more fun words. So many more fun words. Like, just being able to be like, you know, oh, come on, hen. And in my accent, it sounds terrible, disgusting. But when someone's Scottish, you're just like, it's just immediately, there's something like fun about it. And instead of just saying, you know, babe or bitch, I don't know.
Have you found it, like, have you travelled about Scotland for comedy? Because, like, there's quite a lot of different slangs and dialects and colloquial language that is very pertinent to say. Ayrshire, like, gads is a really Ayrshire word. But if you were to go, oh, this is where I show backgrounds now, hell well, yeah. If you go somewhere else.
Slang about like
what would be in Edinburgh? Slang.
bumped means stolen here, but bumped in Edinburgh means chored means stolen. So like different wee words like that.
That it must be quite difficult to jump into like just different parts then and understand exactly what is being said sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had too much trouble with it, but I also haven't been too rural.
Right.
I think, like, you know, I've performed in Perth, but mostly it's Glasgow and Edinburgh or around those two places. But, you know, the main ones are all the same. You know, I have a bit where I go, my 3 favorite Scottish words are we, Because like, oh my God, like even you on your message being like, oh, there's just a wee walkway. And I'm like, oh, so cute. Oh my God. And for me, and that's something that has found its way into my vocabulary. Like, oh, you want a wee cup of tea or something. But again, it's still, even when I say it, I'm like, oh, you fraud, Or the second one is, so it is. Like just at the end of a sentence,
Right,
a little tag, like, and then, are you allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
The bit I have in the set is like, she's a cunt, so she is. And it just feels like a compliment. You're like, oh my God, thank you so much. And it's like, I just think like it means nothing and it means everything. But just like it, every kind of culture has that tag on the end of a sentence where it's like, there's just something about it where it feels like you're being hugged by words. Yeah. And then jobby.
Yeah, job is class.
Yeah.
I'd rather be hugged by. Oh no, never mind.
But I think jobby is like everywhere in Scotland, right? And I feel like those three kind of things, I'm not going too specific, and yeah.
It's really cool, not like the way he says jobby. It's just
yeah, and there's the musicality. And I know I do, like when I go back to Canada, they make fun of me because it's kind of like I don't pick up the accent, but I pick up the cadence, like of the sentence, and I'll be like, "Do you want to go on a duh?" And like and my family's like, "God, well, look at you," and I'm like, or faff. Faff is the other word. I didn't realize until I went back to Canada a few weeks ago, and like 3 times different people were like, "What does faff mean?" And I was like, swear to God, we had that here. Like, what? But no, it's like, so little words have worked their way into my vocabulary, and I think I'll use that to prove that I should stay in Scotland. But,
While you're on air, you mentioned gads. Have you heard of gads?
No.
So gads is an expression like, say if something's disgusting, like say you take a drink, you took a drink of this and it was like vinegar.
I would say that's mingen.
Minging.
Mingen.
Mingin's a different thing altogether.
Well, I like that too. So that's fine. Minging.
Yeah.
Is it ever with? I feel like
you could say gads. That's minging.
Yeah.
Gads is a great word. Oh, gads.
Then you're stacking these words now.
Yeah. Ball bag.
Ball bag.
Yeah.
Gads. That's a minging ball bag. That works.
Yep.
Have you heard that before?
No comment. Segue.
But yeah, not too difficult for cultural.
Yeah, you've been able to get into
I guess that is one of the nice things because people know, oh, you're not from here, so like they know I'm not going to know certain things. Yeah, I was gonna say the one time that bit me in the ass was when I was opening for Billy Kirkwood at the stand, and I was doing my song bit, and someone, is it Simply the Best?
What, Tina Turner?
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Even saying that, you know what I mean. So someone suggested that song, and me being like, okay, great, and then the audience like shifted, right? Like I just felt like, ooh, and I was like, oh God, what happened? And then people were like, boo, and I was like, okay, not me, to the song, right? Because someone shouted that song, and I was like, is this a Catholic thing? And people were like, yes. I was like, great, another song. I have no time to address that.
What's the?
It's a Rangers song.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
And they sing like, if the Pope
wow,
married
can't believe you didn't know that.
I don't follow that stuff at all. That seems petty.
It is mad though, like working in Glasgow offices and there's fully grown men who like freak out if you give them a green pen. And you're like, you're an adult.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 100% serious. If you're in a Glasgow job and you last more than a week without someone asking you like who you support, then you're in luck. You're in a good place.
Yeah.
It's mental.
That's another nice thing is no one expects me to
that's
follow
true.
any football, and I don't.
Why Glasgow?
So it was because I came here to do a master's at Glasgow Caledonian University.
Nice. I was at Cal as well.
Oh really? So I came here and then they made sure to do the whole degree online. So that was so great of them. But I stay because, I've grown to love the place. I think it's like well connected for what I want to do. I've like been able to, there's so much comedy here, there's so much film here and TV. So it's like everything I want to do in one city. It's easy to get to Edinburgh, and it's cheaper than Edinburgh. So though the prices are rising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's super impressive. Like you and Paul came over here to a different country, then you've just made this network and you're getting on stage and you're doing performances and you're meeting loads of people and you're doing like 48-hour film project. And it's like we've lived here our whole life and we're doing like nothing.
We're doing a bit more now.
Yeah,
It's not
we're
nothing
starting
now,
a
but
podcast, isn't it?
we're starting a
There
bit.
is something about, like, you know, it's not about your life is going to get solved if you go live in Vienna, right? But it will make you, you know, it'll change your brain. It'll make you see things differently. You'll kind of challenge yourself. And I think also there's the, you know, the threat of visas. You wanna stay in the
Yeah.
country. But more than that, for me, it's just been about like, this is what I want to do. The resources for these things don't exist in Canada, or didn't when I was there years ago. But you can apply to the Canada Council of Arts for a film grant. They want you to apply a couple times to show you're serious about whatever you're doing. That's years of your life. There's no like short film fund. Again, there probably is, but not like years ago, and none that I was aware of. Like the amount of like things that come across my desk in terms of opportunities while I'm here is just tenfold what was over there. Or the fact that the BBC has, you know, technically the open call for the writer's room.
Yeah.
Chances probably aren't good, you know, but like
there's a
the
chance.
fact that you like have a chance to have an interview because your script made the top whatever percent, or the Edinburgh TV Awards, or you know, there's just countless things, and we're not publicly funded for the CBC TV, which would be the BBC equivalent in Canada. So their funding is just slashed, and they're doing the bare minimum, and Schitt's Creek. So
Was that?
Schitt's Creek is what
Right, okay.
CBC poured all their money into, and it paid off. But like, they're just searching for another Schitt's Creek.
My mum and I love it. I've seen like one episode and I was like, I don't know if this is for me, but everyone
It's
says to stick with it.
surprisingly good. Like
Yeah.
I think you wouldn't expect, but what the character Alexis, like, I think there was such an opportunity for her to just be typical Valley girl, but she's such an odd character. And again, her cadence of the way she says things is like, it's just slightly off. So it kind of catches you. And like, you know, the catchphrase of like, what is it? Ew, David. She kind of goes like, David. And you're
Right,
just
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like, what? And it's very exciting. Yeah.
Nice. So podcasting, right? You said you've done quite a few, because I avoided the what got you into comedy question.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from bad movies with great comedians,
Yes.
are you involved in any others regularly, or is it just guest spots?
Just guest spots. I have toyed with, you know, starting my own, but yeah, it's not, I guess, like the biggest priority, because obviously you want to do it well, something like this where it's set up really nicely.
Sorry, obviously not seen the episodes for the camera cuts out.
We've had teething problems before. Thanks to UWS, thanks to David, thanks to Lee.
Yeah, thank you very much.
About this movie.
But you want it to
Dragging us
be, good and something different, and like, you know, and I think you guys have found that. But so it's anyway, hopefully yes down the line when I have a bit more time. But right now it's really fun to be doing it with a team.
Mhm.
And watching some of the worst movies possible, and also knowing you're like, you can. It's fun when you're in a team because you can find your dynamic, even every episode. Like depending on everyone's mood coming in that day, you're like, ooh, I can be a little bit of a troublemaker tonight. Like everyone's feeling a little, you know, or oh, you know, Chris really loved the movie Showgirls and was like, this is the biggest feminist movie of all time. I'm like, it was directed by a man. Let's calm down. And and like, you know, but it's fun to be able to have that dynamic instead of being like, I have to bring the joy. Yeah.
Does a feminist film have to be directed by women?
We're not getting into that. No, but I do question, like, I'm a real believer in representation, but also producing work that you can speak to. You know, most recently, Bradley Cooper with his fake Jewish nose on for his movie
Yeah.
Maestro, and people are calling that out, but the family's saying it's okay. He asked them, and you're just kind of like, yeah, it's never, I don't know what's right and wrong in that situation, but it's the same thing for queer characters. And there's just, it's less about like, can a straight person act queer? It's less that question. It's more, if that character is going to be criticized for straying into stereotypical or not portraying a queer world, you know, right, if they come from a queer place, then the criticism
It's gone. It's
gone because
it's
they're like, well, they're
authentic.
representing what they know.
Yeah.
It's authentic. So it kind of, for me, it's more, it's yeah. Yes, straight people. You can play. Anyone can play anything. You can, but should you? And like, can you protect yourself from criticism because you're representing a community? It's never in the direction of punching up that we have a problem with. It's, people who have experienced oppression and they want an authentic voice, and we want to be able to crush on that person outside of the role. And you're just like, God damn, you're married to a man, and so I can never be your wife.
It's a very good answer to that question.
Thank
And
you.
we are very tight in time, so we're
Okay.
going to now go into the photos, which
Okay, so while we're setting it up, question from Daniel Petrie: If you could be named after,
Daniel.
another item from a toolbox, what would you be and why?
Oh, that man frustrates me with how funny he is. Wrench. I think just
Wrench?
because it
Kate
sounds
Wrench?
like wench, and
Okay.
I like that.
Not very feminist.
have you heard the Scottish words?
Oh, are you gonna
Have you come across the Scottish words winch?
winch? Oh
Yeah.
wait, winch.
No, winch. It's not like winching a car, like
Yeah,
towing
okay,
a car,
winch.
but like
could
Winch
winch
to
car.
make out.
yeah.
Okay, good. And but then whinge is to cry.
Oh yes, whinge. Yeah, would be moaning and
You can have a
crying.
whingy winch, and it'd be minging.
Gads.
I know you're gonna put the minging clip up, and it's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill me.
It's too good a sound clip.
It's
one more
very
question.
strange to. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, one more question from Sky. Now that you know who she is in the old toll bar.
Oh yes.
Top 3 places to gig in Glasgow.
Ooh, Old Toll Bar.
Mhm.
I love it. I just did the Old Toll Comedy Club the other night. It was amazing. I mean, the Stand is great. Everyone loves. I've only performed at the Glasgow Stand and technically the Edinburgh, but only during the Fringe. But everyone who does all 3 stands says Glasgow is the best.
Mhm.
And then wild card. I've performed a lot at McCool's, and I
Yeah.
love McCool's because it's a small enough space that even if there's maybe even 10 people, you can make it feel like it's a full room, and it can fit up to like 90. So you have such a range of who to bring in. It's a good sized stage. We did a sketch show there, and it was really fun. It went really well. But it's just, I think it's a really nice back room, and they have good sound blocking technology there now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We have about 10 minutes.
10
Sorry.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So we start off quite. My girlfriend said you looked like Anna de Armas. Is that your surname?
It's okay.
Put
The
up a
name
picture.
sounds familiar.
I thought it was kind of like French, Amélie, but
Yeah.
came out. I'd say on a par, effort-wise, with Chris Thorburn. I can't put you above him, right? But you did bring props, which gave you the edge there.
Yes. Thank you.
But I really appreciate the effort. So kind of classic, normal kind of headshots with the new berry. for
It's
the
a
photo
nice-
shoot.
Yes.
Can you see these okay?
Yeah.
Just
Cool.
like Prince sang about.
Ah,
I don't know what's happening here. No parking.
I kind of lost my mind a bit. Yeah.
It was good. We're doing like the kicks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, the kick one was called, but I did like it, but I had to be.
That's fine. Was that you? That was you doing the.
Listen, you get rid of the kick.
This one's so cool.
Then we went for the kind of. You had this retro sign from an old print house or
Yes.
something.
Yeah,
We're
it was
looking
like
for-
content print. It's just on the end of my street, and every time I go by it, like, why is there a butterfly instead of the dot on the I? We'll never know. And I love that.
I like this
Oh
one.
my gosh, that's so cool. Wow.
Just because there's a lot going on, I quite like it.
Does it look like I do business?
With your old school computer.
Unplugged.
This is you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Manically typing.
I know, I did this as a joke, and then you were like, yeah, I like that. So I was like,
I will say I didn't say it like that.
yeah, I like that. And I was like, shoot me like one of your French girls. Yeah. That's a real Kate laugh.
Yeah, there's a few of them, which is nice.
It's like an advert for like Colgate and dentists. It's such a good set of teeth.
How was the photo shoot from your perspective?
Oh my
Like,
gosh, it was so much fun. I think it was, so last day of the Fringe, I did 2 spots. I saw some friends. And then while seeing the friends, I was like, oh, I get quite bored with my clothes. And I think,
Yeah.
like, I remember last year at the Fringe performing, someone came up to me and after a show, and they were like, babe, you got to wear color. And I said, I am wearing color. And he's like, no, I mean color. Like, you got to stand out, okay? Because you're with all these, competing against all these men. And, like, you're, big, loud voice, but, like, you have to visually stand out. And then he just went away. And no idea who this man was. But it's changed my life in terms of this one I'm going to use a lot.
That's good, yeah.
That one I'm
good.
going to use a lot.
The traffic cone was great.
It
Yeah.
was.
We had a lot of just like random props sitting out ready for us like,
I
on the
know.
walk around.
It's almost as if I had gone around previously.
Clump of grass.
The brick.
I planted that grass 5 months ago. Oh, that's
This
nice.
is when you were getting into it.
And so yeah, I was like, oh, I want something exciting to wear for this photo shoot,
Yeah.
but I didn't know exactly what I wanted. So I went into this like vintage shop on Grassmarket, and then just kind of like wandered around. And once someone told me my color was red, so I grabbed that. And then I was like, I don't have red earrings, but it turns out I did because I went to a different shop, forgot about earrings, bought a beret, and then
I bet it
left,
was cool.
and then like ran to the train.
I thought that
Oh.
was a very great shot.
That's
That was your idea as well.
Yes, thank you. That looks really good. What am I-
That's just cleaning the glasses.
Oh yeah.
I quite like this one again.
Do you know what? It looks like I thought I was holding the bubble gun, and so it looks like I'm like taking the gun out
like
of like one
holstering
of
it
yeah,
from,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
the
yeah,
thigh thing.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
My parents are gonna love this one. That's so wholesome.
who was it that said it before?
Chris.
Is that a
Yeah,
nice one
here's
for your
nan.
gran?
That's the
It's just when it can be put up on the mantelpiece.
this one less nice for my nan.
The daddy necklace.
Yeah.
She might be into that. Sorry if you watch this.
Sorry, she can't read that small anyway. Be like, it says Jesus.
He is the
is my
daddy of
daddy.
us all, yeah. Our heavenly daddy.
Why am I just like immediately a Stepford wife? It just looks like I'm like, welcome to my home. This is where you die. I feel like that's that vibe.
The next 48-hour film festival. It's like
Yeah,
a manic DVD
Too
cover.
manic. Yeah, this is after like 2 weeks of being in Canada, being crawled on by my nieces and nephews, and then a week in London, and then a week of work and the Fringe every night.
And then cutting your elbow.
And then, well,
Was this
that's
before or
why-
after?
This is after.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Just aiming the gun.
I feel like I'm going to get, someone's like, you shouldn't be putting that nose on your face.
Your nose shouldn't be in colour. I like this one. I was a bit gutted that the bubbles are out of focus, but I thought it was a cool shot.
Yeah, I look so, I can't quite pinpoint. Mad?
There's a bit of anger
Sass.
there, isn't there?
Yeah. Disappointed. I'm not angry. I'm
But you're
disappointed.
carrying a gun.
Yeah.
Then unnecessarily blowing the bubble gun out.
Is there one with a bubble on it? Did any of those
Yeah.
work? Oh,
Yeah.
God. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There was one where you're holding the gun like that and the bubble's just like over your nose. You know how classically it's like over the eye or something? It was just over your nose and it looks so stupid. But I didn't keep it in, but I will send you.
Please. That's
Yeah,
Got
no,
a few of these.
I'm so glad. We just made the bubble mixture out of dish soap. No measuring.
I really like that. I
Was
thought
the
that
eye
was a
one.
great
That's
shot.
good.
Bubble eye.
That's
The
going
la-
in Rolling Stone, baby.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna get in there.
The last ones are my favourite. See with the wee neon sign.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
I like this one as well.
This is where I was testing your humor. I was like, would it be funny?
And there's one I'll send you as well where, because you shot it at yourself, but none of it came out, but just one bubble sat on
Oh,
top of your head.
yeah, yeah.
So I will send you that, but it's not
Okay.
in here.
Whoa.
So these are the start.
These were really cool.
This is like 80s. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
This
good
is my
shout.
like Stranger Things card.
I think the neon really works so well there.
This is when I realized I thought I looked really cool while doing this, and I was like, I'll put my head straight against the glass because that'll look really good. And then you showed me these, and I was like, oh, I look quite dumb. I think like
Yeah, you said I had a
think
dumb face.
Just I think
Not
it's
this
because
one, right?
the
The ones
hat.
before it.
Well, it's just this pose because the hat's like kind of lopsided, and I feel like I'm like, hello. It looks like I've had a couple drinks.
And these are the ones where we started using the prism.
Mm-hmm. Did you say it was a Christmas gift?
Yeah. Secret Santa.
Paid out. That's so cool. Aw. I feel like you've made my teeth look very white because they are not that white.
I didn't actually do much with the teeth.
What do you mean by much?
Oh, I mean, like, the majority of them I didn't do anything.
I will say my dentist here loves my teeth. Like when the
Yeah, you
first
do have
time I
great
saw
teeth.
her, she was like, "Oh my God, thank God, North American teeth. God, they're so good." Almost like fetishy, like quite
Right.
excited. And I had to get a tooth pulled because I cracked it in the back. And the amount that she felt sad about it, more, I was like, "Oh, just get it out of there." And she was like,
Don't wanna.
"I don't want. If we can keep it in, let's keep it in."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Got full set.
Yeah.
That's it. That was the last photo.
"Oh,
on the cow.
that's a good one to end on."
Mhm.
The little gun. I think that's like, was that the last photo we took as well?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
These ones were at the end.
I love the prism. That looks so cool.
Yeah, I'm glad I've not used it for portraits before. I've only used it for like a product or
Some
something.
product stuff, yeah, but not
Not
human people.
But yeah, it worked well with the sign.
Sorry.
Human people.
What other people?
All sorts. You'll have to go back and watch all our previous episodes.
By non-human people, do you mean Paul Matt? Is that?
No, I like Paul. I wouldn't say anything bad about Paul.
What are you saying about other guests?
Some of them can take or leave. I'm
You
joking.
decide.
Yeah.
Comment who you think it was.
Yeah. Or get some audience interaction you hit.
Yeah. But yeah, apologies for a slightly shorter podcast, but it was great speaking to you, and hopefully get you on again or something. Or
Yeah.
Put a bit more time because
yeah.
we're probably going to get kicked out in about 7 minutes.
That's fine.
Sorry for my questions as well.
I thought they were. Did I ever say they were bad? I feel like
Yeah.
I'm being on.
Multiple times.
When you open the laptop
gonna fall
again,
out, let's
you've
cut.
somehow edited clips of me being like, "Fuck you." No shit.
You just gave us the material to edit.
Exactly, yeah.
There were such good questions. I had a really good time, and this is my first time in air,
Oh, cool.
and my
Hopefully
last. Yeah.
For any air locals, she's only seen the train station and then the drive to UWS. So
Yeah.
we don't blame her.
What else is there?
The beach.
Actually, the houses looked so cool.
Yeah.
Houses. I don't think I said that right because I'm missing a tooth. Houses. Anyway, it looks lovely here.
Thank you very much.
End this
Thank you very much.
podcast, please.
Before you get lynched. Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Classic milk.
Yeah, you know, like
Not Wiseman's.
You have to specify now, you know.